This video is going to be my life story on how I went from a 16-year-old high school dropout with a 1.3 GPA to making $40 million by 23, and everything that went on from the second I got on this planet to the beautiful life I live now. My company JLGroup this year is pacing a record year. We're going to do $20 million in net payouts to us and $50 million in gross revenue between every company that we manage and grow. Absolutely insane. If you want to know more about what I do and what I'm doing currently to make all this money, we're going to link it here. I have a video explaining what I do to make 20 million a year. You guys can go watch that. But let's not talk about now. Let's go all the way back. I was born in Santa Monica. A lot of people think that I'm a Florida guy. I was born in LA. I love LA, specifically Santa Monica, but I love California. I hate the state tax though. So my family moved over when I was about 3 years old to Florida, to Pompano Beach, Boca Raton area to be exact, right in between. And I grew up there and lived a beautiful childhood. I never say we were super rich. I never say we were super poor, but we were kind of in between. We were in the middle class. I'll show a photo of the house I grew up in. I think that's a good barometer to show like how much wealth we had. And I'm really blessed for my life. My parents got divorced when I was 12, which was a little unfortunate. But other than that, I had a really beautiful childhood. Two loving parents that I can't thank enough for how they allowed me to be free and live. And things got interesting. My first entrepreneurial experience was when I was about 13, maybe 12. Yeah, 12. I was selling iPhone cases, 6th grade at a swap meet. And I sold like probably $1,000 in cases between the swap meet. That was like my first real entrepreneurship experience. And it was almost a taste knowing what would happen in the future. Then 14 years old, I really wanted these hoverboards. I don't know if you remember those IO Hawks. So I convinced an AliExpress supplier to ship me 5, and he gave me 1 for free, 4 I paid for pretty much, although it kind of amortized to just 5 for like $250 each. And I sold the other 4 to get myself a free hoverboard. So I kind of had that entrepreneur taste, that entrepreneur sense in me. And I think everyone knew. So it started getting interesting when I was 15. And, you know, my life really started when I was 16 as an entrepreneur. But at 15, I was a sophomore in high school. This is 2017, or no, it's 2018. And things started getting interesting. The main issue was I was a bad kid. I was trapping jewel pods. I ran like a little underground gambling ring. I was the casino. I was starting to get money from like not so great ways that I would never recommend a 15-year-old do. And that was causing me to start falling off a cliff with school. And a lot of people think I wanted to drop out. I didn't. So through me being 15 and turning 16, I had terrible grades at a 1.3 GPA to be exact, the second semester of 10th grade. And my school was pretty much done with me. They just hated me. They're like, you're a terrible kid. You're teaching other friends terrible things, because like I was a pretty popular kid in high school. A lot of my friends would come over a lot, and it was bad. What was the final straw was I threw a huge party, and huge, I mean, we're in 10th grade, so huge is relative. It was like 45 people, and they were done. They pretty much told me you're not coming back. So it was the second final, the end of 10th grade, and I realized, like, I'm 16, why am I taking this final? I know I'm not gonna be able to go back to school. I know I'm probably not gonna switch to a new school. I was getting kicked out of that one. I didn't want to go to a new school. I'm like, why am I even taking this final? Like, I didn't know what I was gonna do, but I knew for sure the concept of taking this final for an hour and a half made 0 sense. I also had not studied for it at all. So I skipped every final. I got a 0 on every final, which plummeted my grades a lot. That's how I got to the 1.3 GPA. Because if you don't already know, getting to a 1.3 GPA is really hard. I mean, you have to be either really dumb or really not give a shit. And thankfully I was the second option. So this is where it got interesting, because this is where the real business started. I left school and never looked back. I knew one thing for sure. I needed to make money. My mom and dad told me very simply, well, let me rephrase. I lived with my mom. My mom was the decision maker. My dad wasn't really in the picture for the decision. He was just cool with whatever. I lived with my mom. I won't go too much into the personal aspects of like that aspect of my life with my mom and dad. But my mom told me very simply, Jacob, I trust you. And I told my mom I'm going to make $50,000. I'm going to have 50 grand in my bank account in 6 months. And if I don't, I'll go back to school. And I wanted her to let me take 1 semester off. Mom, if you're watching this, thank you for that, because that was the best decision of my life and her life as well. And I proceeded in dropping out. I wasn't actually able to make 50 grand in 6 months, funny enough. I think I ended with like 30. But I, very shortly after dropping out, got into an assistant role as a social media marketing manager. That then rolled over, and I got into a role in e-commerce because I was realizing how many businesses were trying to run social media marketing for their e-commerce stores. All these e-com businesses were paying me, the guy I worked for, to promote their page. I'm like, why can't I just start an e-com store and run ads on Instagram? Organic ads. These were like meme pages. Like the page would just post a video of your product or a photo of your product. And I realized I could. I made my own store. I copied someone else's video they posted, and I posted it on one of our big pages, and I was getting sales. I was like, holy shit. And I started my first real store was a sunglasses store, and then I did a pool floaty store. But the first real one that hit, I was selling replica AirPods. And this is where things got very interesting for me. I called them earpods, and from 16 to then turning 17, I did $1.6 million in gross revenue. Was insane. And it really kicked off like 7-8 months after dropping out. I must have been right about turning 17. I went and did that all the way until 18. It's pretty much all I did. I was running these dropshipping stores. I went from the organic approach with posting the videos on theme pages, theme page marketing, and I moved into paid advertising with Meta, Facebook at the time, and I ripped it with them. This is like, I mean, TikTok ads didn't even exist. This is 2018, 2019. We'll throw some screenshots up. I was literally on top of the world. I bought a BMW. I bought a Rolex Datejust, which I still have to this day as a little trophy. I was wild. And 18, everyone started moving out, and I'm like, what do I do? The idea of like moving out had never crossed my mind, and I didn't know yet. I took some Airbnbs in South Beach, and unfortunately, when I turned 19, it might have been late 18 or 19, I don't remember exactly, but I got a letter delivered to me by a man, an older man. I'll never forget, I was holding a Dunkin' coffee, and he said, sir, I'm not gonna say my mom's name, but he said my mom's name, who was at the time, she was a co-owner on the LLC, and I don't know why they gave her name for it instead of mine. And it was pretty much Apple suing me. They were giving me a cease and desist, shut down the store. This baby of mine that was making me all my money, I unfortunately had to shut down. And it had already taken a tank and a dip, and a huge lesson if you're watching this, like, it needs to be LEM, it needs to be legal, ethical, and moral, and selling anything replica is just not legal. But that was a huge, moment. So 19, I didn't know what I was gonna do. I had some good cash saved up. All my friends moved out. Apple officially gave me a little lawsuit, so I had to shut down those sites. Thankfully, they didn't end up suing me. They just gave me the cease and desist and dropped it after I ceased and desisted. And I knew I couldn't do that anymore. So I took 6 months kind of off. I didn't know what I would do for e-com. And I moved to Sunny Isles, Florida when all my friends moved out, as my hometown was really depressing with none of my friends there. And I was super alone. Like even the 16, 17, 18 years, I was pretty alone. But once all my friends moved, I was really alone. And when I was 18 and a half, maybe 19, it was October of 2021. No, it was October of 2020. Wow. October of 2020, at 19 years old, I moved to Sunny Isles Beach, Miami. I didn't know it at the time, but this was the best decision I could have ever made. I had a good amount of cash, and I knew e-com could make me 10, 20 grand a month on autopilot. So I wasn't worried about the lease, and I signed a really nice place, a 3-bedroom on the beach in Sunny Isles. It's actually Trump Tower, Trump Royale. Beautiful apartment. And nowadays it probably rents for 10, 15 grand a month. At the time, it was just COVID pricing was so cheap. And I loved it there, and I realized how much potential I had. I started posting on social media around this time too, and people loved my story. They're just like, they were so mesmerized by it. High school dropout, moved out. This was like before posting and having a personal brand was like normalized. It was just so much less normalized at the time. And 20 years old is where things started really getting good, because I was simultaneously running e-commerce stores and posting on social media, and I started doing coaching. People were asking me for help. The first person ever, actually, he said, can I Venmo you $500 for an hour of your time? And I said, hell yeah. I sent him my Venmo. That was technically the first like coaching I ever did, and that started what's now JLGroup Consulting. But 20 years old, I lived in Trump. I loved my life. And I decided I want to go deeper into Miami at the end of that lease. And I moved to Brickell. Miami. And Brickell, Miami, I moved to Panorama Tower. Interesting apartment building, but beautiful views. I was on the 81st floor. I was now in a different world. You know, I'm going from this tight-knit community in friggin' northern mid-Florida to now I'm sharing the elevator with stars and multimillionaires. Like, I'm in the upper echelon of life, at least from what I knew at the time. And it was such an eye-opener for me. It broke me out of my bubble, and I'm so happy I moved out and was comfortable with that. I also did it alone with no friends in Miami. I knew nobody. When I lived in Trump, one thing I didn't mention is I did not have any friends. I literally did nothing. I actually spent New Year's alone. That New Year's I spent through 2020 to 2021, I was alone, which is like kind of fucking sad. But at the same time, I was focused so much on myself and work that it was kind of just a decision I was consciously making, not like going out and meeting people and hanging out with friends, and rather working. And I'm very okay with it. I don't really regret it. So stayed in Brickell, and then I turned 20. This is now about 2022. And I realized I had so much potential to do more. So I had this huge e-commerce brand that I had started the year prior, took off, did 140 grand its first month, crushing in e-com. And I realized there's like something else I could do. Like a light bulb flipped. And it was to start a marketing agency. People already knew me on social media. I already had like 800,000 followers. People knew me well, and there were a lot of businesses who I knew like were terrible at paid ads that I could help. So I started Talk Media. I brought on a partner. I decided to do it with a partner for a lot of reasons, and I don't regret it. Although right now I sold out of that business. He bought me out, which I'm super cool with. He now owns it majority, but we crushed Talk Media. We did, I think, $2.5–3 million while I was in it as a majority owner. And at that time I ran 3 businesses. I was a little overwhelmed, but I was loving it. I mean, making a ton of cash. I got my Lamborghini 2022 that year. I was traveling. I was falling in love. I was just having a good time. And man, that time of my life was just fun. I liked it. I was traveling to Europe a lot, Bahamas a lot. Come 2023 now, and this is where things get interesting. I turned 21 years old and I started getting pretty serious. I was running these 3 businesses and really focused on making a ton of cash from them. I was locked in. Very simply, I was locked in. I was still going out with chicks and I'd go to dinners and stuff, but I wasn't really a big club type. I maybe clubbed for like 2 months when I was 19 and 20. I wasn't a big partier. I was just super focused. And 2023 was a year I really started making serious money. It was the first year I took home over $1 million in profit, which is pretty cool. Now, end of 2023, I started getting pretty overwhelmed and overworked. I had worked so hard, specifically Q2 and Q3 of 2023. I made a lot of cash. I probably profited like $2 or $3 million from the 3 businesses. I was stupidly overwhelmed. I bought my McLaren. I bought 150,000 in watches. I have a YouTube video of me spending 100 grand in a day. I bought into an investment property right in my hometown. I was overwhelmed. It was 2024, and I talk about this in my What I Do video, that I decided to change my vision from trying to be like this serial entrepreneur doing so much random to focusing on one real thing, on one big thing. And that was to start JLGroup, build a business that would help me run and operate anything I did. And that's exactly what we did. I didn't document it too much, 2024 and 2025, but I started doing it, and I started doing it really well. So this was early 2024. I had just turned 22 and I focused on that so much. 2024 was all about building to that vision. I sold my majority ownership of Talk Media to my partner, Kyle. I autopiloted every business I had, and I started building a team that would work on the business. Prior to that, I would always build teams that worked in the business. So I started building my teams and started really thinking like C-suite, exec level people that weren't going to be people who worked in the business, but rather people who worked on the business. Also at 22 last year in 2024, I pushed, I think, 350,000 into angel investments into startups and companies I believed in to really grow that portfolio of JLGroup pretty quick and get a lot of companies under it rather than just my 3 businesses at the time. And that was a great move, as I'm already up. One of the businesses I pushed cash into, I'm up 11x in a year and a half on a multi 5-figure investment, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that was age 22 in 2024. Very simple, just building and realizing that my vision is JLGroup. My vision is to build this portfolio company. Now at 23 years old in 2025, I'm solely focused on JLGroup. We currently have stake, minority or majority, of 32 businesses. We're doing roughly 1.5 million a month in our net take home that we get, our net revenue. And in gross revenue of all the companies, even past our share, we're doing about 4 million a month, which is pretty cool. The average business we have 39% stake in, 3 of them we own 100% of, and it's super sick. I love it. I love the vision. God willing, we're able to hit $100 million in take home to our pockets in 2026. And what a cool life. I have everything that I want. I was just talking to a really rich billionaire French mentor of mine that I literally have everything. I have these cars you guys don't see behind, but I have a $6 million house I live in, a full gym here, sauna, cold plunge. I have a wake boat, 2 jet skis. I mean, I have everything I need. And I'm so blessed for that. And at this point in my life, it's past material. I want to retire. I want to have enough money where I stop working. I could just say, I could just stop working, and I roughly feel like need comfortably 70 grand a month to live comfortably. So I need to make $1 million a year passively which is about $20 million sitting in an investment account. So once I get there, I'll probably retire for a few years, then go do something bigger. But that's what I'm doing now. I'm focused on bigger stuff. That's my life story, guys. From 16 to 23. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned from it, took takeaways, thought of some things you can copy from me. And the one thing I could say is please get in touch with people who have gotten to where you want to go. If you want to work with me and get help from me, whether it's to start your business or scale your business, feel free to click below in the top link in the description and realize that this took me 7 years, but if I can go back right now and do it all over again, I could probably do it in 2. So get help from someone who's done what you want to do. It's going to speed up the journey so much, and I do it all the time now. It's making me move faster. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for showing support. See you guys in the next video. Peace.